For more, I'm joined from London by UK correspondent Jonathan Sacher-Doty and from Washington, D.C., senior fellow at the Security Studies Group, Matthew Brodsky. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Jonathan, we'll start with you. While Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in the UK to talk about Iran and Iran, it seems the issue was overshadowed by the topic of Gaza, even with protesters outside 10 Downing Street. What can you tell us?
Sure. Well, Tracy, every time Benjamin Netanyahu comes to the UK, and let's not forget he's done it 3 times while Theresa May has been the Prime Minister, once just at the end of last year, there is always a protest greeting him outside Downing Street. But we shouldn't be misled by that small group who are a minority, but they're very loud. Sure, there is plenty of opinion in the UK among members of the electorate and some even in the political echelons that is against Israel and especially against its actions in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And Theresa May did bring that up, of course, in the press statements that they made early on before they went and spoke in private. But in private, we were reliably assured they would be speaking not only about what happened in Gaza and not only about the potential for trying to figure out how to minimize civilian deaths, but also about how to limit Iran's ability to produce a nuclear weapon. And because Theresa May did say that Britain is committed to staying in the JCPOA as long as Iran does, she also said that Britain will not see Iran get nuclear capabilities.
All right, Matthew, to you on the topic of Iran, I suppose if you don't ask, then you don't get. But what's the likelihood that the United States will allow its allies an exemption from these sanctions?
I would think it's very unlikely, but of course it's Trump, so we have to say that we never know exactly what the president's going to do until he's done it. But it would really defeat the entire purpose. The whole point is to get either Europe to get toward a better agreement, which we haven't been doing. And Europe is still on the footing where it's trying to provide as many goodies to Iran as possible to entice Iran to stay in a deal that's broken to begin with. Now, I understand if you're a European country that you have whiplash because you went through an entire process that was designed now to benefit Iran, that was designed to open up the financial pathways to the regime specifically as much as possible, and now we're completely changing it the other direction. But it makes no sense to give European exemptions because what we need is the maximum amount of leverage to bring on Iran, and that's only going to happen when Europe realizes it has to choose the American economy over that of Iran's.
All right, Jonathan, what's your take on that? How much, at least from Britain's point of view, is riding on the deal staying alive, economically speaking? Is the UK as entrenched in Iran with investments as, say, France and Germany?
Well, the UK is very interested in the economic gains that it could get should it be able to deal openly with Iran in a way that it just wasn't able to during the days of the sanctions. That's one of the main reasons why the UK will be wanting to respect the deal. They said all of those countries that signed that letter did in fact say that they shared most of the concerns expressed by the US regarding the status of Iran's nuclear program after 2025 and Iran's ballistic missiles program and its destabilizing actions in the region. That's a quote from the letter. But then they say they don't really want to do much about it anyway because they feel the JCPOA is still the best thing in the room, the best possible option. So it just shows really perhaps that Trump has a point, that this is not a great deal. He said it's the worst deal ever in history and that he wants to scrap it and start again. But of course, all of those European countries are very interested in continuing the spike in trade that they have started to enjoy.
All right, and Matthew, to you, we know that Iran has come out saying it's looking to increase its uranium enrichment plan just in case this deal falls apart, which many analysts say looks likely. Now, the reason former President Barack Obama supported the deal was that because despite the sanctions, Iran was getting closer to a bomb. So now if it collapses, isn't Iran even in a better position to acquire a bomb?
Well, no, not really. First of all, if you look at the centrifuges that they're using. But second of all, this actually, what you're saying, exposes the entire myth of the Iran deal. So the very same people, the echo chamber, who lied about what was in the Iran deal when they sold it to the American people and the world, are now essentially telling you that oh, it's horrible that we walked away from the deal because Iran can literally start spinning uranium within a minute and then suddenly make nuclear weapons? No, obviously the deal couldn't prevent them from doing anything if Iran is currently just says that they're going to be prepared to start enriching uranium. The deal didn't do much, and what we're doing for this horrible deal is essentially enriching the regime, keeping them in power and allowing them to beat up on their own people. And again, with all the sunset clauses that we're aware of and everything else, all the shortcomings in the deal, we know where it leads. It doesn't work. It's a horrible deal. We need leverage. It's unfortunate. Europe, we would like to have on our team and to get on board, and I feel for them because they had to spend years with the Obama administration negotiating something. But it's unfortunate the Obama administration lied, and here we are.
All right, Matthew Brodsky, appreciate that insight from Washington, D.C.